Hello everyone and welcome to this on-demand webinar which, as you can see on screen, is called Beyond GA4. And really this 50-minute session today is targeted towards people who have got their GA4 profile set up. They're collecting data, they are comparing it to their universal analytics information, and you're starting to think, well, what can I do with this information now? I'm collecting all this great data in this fantastic new format. I've got these reports, but actually what more can I do? And one of the exciting things that we as an agency think, and there's a lot of exciting things that GA4 throws up, is there are now wider opportunities within the Google ecosystem and outside of that as well to help not just improve your insight and reporting, but your marketing overall. And there are also some key considerations that think beyond just setting it up and letting it run. So that's what we're going to talk through today. And any questions, please drop it on the video. I'd be more than happy to answer those. Hi everyone, my name is Ross Britton. I'm Chief Operating Officer at Equimedia. We're a full service digital performance agency. And as you can see on screen, we love collecting great data. We love driving the insight from that by utilizing the technology available to us with fantastic people. And that's why our motto, data, technology and people, which as far as we're concerned helps equal business growth. And we're going to talk today about how GA4 could be a tool that helps deliver that business growth. So let's jump straight into it. As I mentioned, there are wider Google ecosystem opportunities now, and I'm sure some of these are familiar to you. You've got things like server-side GTM, which is still relatively new, been around for a little bit of time, but we're starting to utilize this, which helps both improve site speed, but also is a more privacy-centric way of managing tags, for example. You've got BigQuery, which is going to be really important when it comes to retaining historical data, which we're going to come on to, but there are wider things to integrate with GA4. That's what we're really trying to say here. Your Looker Studio reporting, still getting used to saying Looker Studio rather than Data Studio. Ensuring your cookie consent policy fits in nicely with your GA4, hooking that up to consent mode, making sure you're utilizing the GA4 integrations with the wider Google marketing stack, so things like Google Ads. And obviously the multi-platform tracking, but this is just a small example. And GA4 sits at the center of this wider integrated stack. And the way we're looking at this as an agency is we're thinking of it as almost, what are our 5 top tier layers we could build? If we were baking a cake, utilizing our GA4 data, what would that look like? And how could we make the most of the data to build up from strong foundations? And these are the 5 things we're going to talk through today that we consider to be the top 5 considerations once you've got your GA4 set up. First being improving your consent and opt-in rates, because you want to collect more data, utilize Google Consent Mode, have a really strong data layer, especially if you're in large-scale e-commerce businesses and large-scale online conversion businesses. You're going to need a data layer implemented to ensure your enhanced e-commerce implementation gets the most value. GA4 only retains data in the standard account, the non-360 account, for up to 14 months. So you're going to have a data retention strategy because you can't just collect everything moving forward. And then the top of that tier, at least as a starter for 10, how you can market with predictive audiences. And we're going to go through each of these elements now just to talk through in more detail, and be interesting to see maybe have a think as we go through about where you're at with each of these. So improving consent and opt-in rates. So one of the key things moving forward as we get into the cookieless world is that consent, opt-ins, cookies is going to be vitally important. And based on a recent study, none of the UK websites researched allowed users to change cookie settings. And it's still surprising, I guess, that there are still lots of businesses that don't have consentful cookie setups. And with third-party cookies being phased out, you need to ensure you're collecting that first-party data, in things like GA4 well in advance, so you can make the most of the data modeling, make the most of the machine learning that GA4 gives you. And as you know, from those of you that have got GA4 integrated, you're going to start seeing some predictive audiences populate, and that's really exciting. The UK Data Reform Bill, again, there was an announcement in June of 2022 that cookie banners as we know it could become a thing of the past. We've written a couple of blogs on this. There's a link in the below, and you can see the blog on screen from our web analytics manager, Rob, about how cookie banners are likely to change massively in the future. So well worth a read. But fundamentally, your opt-in rates for your cookie banner and collecting first-party data in GA4, the more first-party data you have, the better your modeling, the better your machine learning, and the better that's going to set you up for success in the future. And it's also worth looking to make sure your actual opt-in banners are converting. So we've had instances, for example, on 2 e-commerce clients actually, where we put a cookie banner live at the top, and we've seen an uplift in traffic as a result, which is nice, or it's more or less stayed the same. You can see very clearly on the bottom example, we had a client that implemented a cookie banner, and because it wasn't optimized, opt-in rates went down, which meant they were collecting less first-party data. We need to be collecting that first-party data in GA4. So firstly, make sure you've got a consentful solution. Secondly, make sure it's well optimized. And you can use our tool of choice, for example, is OneTrust, because you can A/B test to actually bring the opt-in rates up. And we've seen some real success with that. Number two, or the second layer up in our cake, I guess, is it's all about utilizing Google Consent Mode. And hopefully some of you are utilizing Google Consent Mode already, and we feel Google Consent Mode is a really important part of the setup. So using OneTrust as our example at the top, the user comes in, they either consent or they don't consent. But one of the things, one of the benefits of utilizing Google Consent Mode is it will still send anonymized pings into the Google infrastructure. So you're still capturing that data, still measuring the conversions at least. So you can at least attribute your ad conversions, for example. There are questions out there in terms of compliance and consent and GDPR. As far as Google is concerned, it's fine, but it's one of those things to think about. But Google Consent Mode is a really powerful tool to implement. It allows that data modeling of the non-consenting users, and we know that data modeling is going to be an important part of the future. So first things first, make sure you're getting as many first-party opt-ins as possible. If you get those first-party opt-ins, brilliant. But for those that don't opt in, you could still feed those attributed pings and start doing some modeling in GA utilizing Google Consent Mode. So it's just another layer to your arsenal, basically. Our next layer up, which for any business out there that is that's got a data layer that has enhanced e-commerce, that has a conversion funnel, whether that's a financial services conversion funnel, a quote funnel, a lead gen funnel, a shopping journey, you're going to need a really good data layer. Having a good data layer means you collect much more valuable data and much more detailed data within Google Analytics, especially in Google Analytics 4. So whether you're an insurance business, a loan provider, whatever it might be, it allows you to enhance your reporting activity. For example, for one of our e-commerce clients, we can tell them which fields cause the highest sequential drop-off and which types of purchase drive the highest revenue. And then you can use quite detailed segmentation criteria within Google Analytics, all within your fingertips. And your data layer information can also be pulled into Data Studio as well. Sorry, still getting used to it. Looker Studio, so you don't have to wait for cumbersome reports. You can actually take your data layer information, so that might be the number of products within a certain category somebody purchases, and you can see which ones have the highest basket value, and you can see that immediately with Data Studio, for example. It allows you to make faster, smarter decisions, and it can be really powerful. Point number 4, which is going to be a really important one for the future. Just think about the layers we're adding here, sorry. So we're layering up opt-ins, we're layering up modeled conversions, we're layering up enhanced tracking and reporting ability within Google Analytics 4. This is all great stuff, but what you want is to keep all that data. So BigQuery linking, which is just one potential tool. There are other tools out there, such as R or Python or other scripting languages, but if you've got standard GA, as I mentioned at the very start of this, you're going to only have 14 months of historical data captured in Google Analytics 4. This is quite a big change. Before, you would have forever data, but this seems to be a conscious change from Google to try and force people to use GA4 as more of a trend analysis tool rather than a single source of reporting truth. With BigQuery can basically be used in conjunction with Google Cloud as almost like a data warehousing tool. It allows you to pull data out of various sources, transcribe it, and then push it to your reporting dashboards as you see fit. Now, if you are on Google Analytics 360, you are going to have longer. If you're on GA 360, as it currently stands, or GA 4 360 in the future, you're going to have 50 months of historical data. So if you're on GA 360 and paying those big bucks, you'll have that benefit. And as I mentioned in a previous video, Google announced recently, as of it's 11th of November 2022 today, so a couple of weeks ago, Google announced that Google Analytics 360 data, so Universal Analytics 360 data, will remain and not have the cutoff date of October this year. October next year as it was supposed to, but it will be July 2024. I got there in the end. What I'm trying to basically say is that you will, if you're on GA360, as of this year, it was supposed to be October 2023 was when it would stop collecting data in Universal Analytics. But the new announcement states that that cutoff date's been moved back to July 2024. I got there in the end. But what this really means is you need to have a solution to pull your data out of GA4 if you're on standard GA4 and pass it into whatever reporting methodologies you're using. That could be Looker Studio or Data Studio, or it might be another dashboarding reporting tool like Tableau or whatever it might be. There's lots of other reporting tools out there, obviously, that you can use. So one of the key considerations here is to think about how you're going to retain your historical data. So again, layering up the information here for what you need. The final part of our layer, which we think is quite an important one because really it's the way things are going to go, is how can we use the predictive audiences? Now, we know that marketing with predictive audiences is becoming a bigger thing, but GA4 actually allows you, and by default, it will create these machine learning based predictive audiences. So one of the standard ones, as you can see on screen here, is likely 7-day churning users. So active users who are likely not to visit your property in the next 7 days. So it will model based on what it can see, people who aren't likely to visit your site soon. You can feed that data into Google Ads or into DV360 or whatever it might be. And you can then start retargeting that machine learning based audience. And this is really exciting. And this is likely where the real power of GA4 is going to come in the future. Now, if you're running PPC or any Google Ads at the moment, no doubt you've heard about Google Performance Max. So this is already an indication of where things are going to go. So smart bidding, for example, has been replaced now by Google Performance Max. And this trend towards AI and AI-based targeting is a big deal. We've got a short blog up on our website about what that means. But if you're either utilizing Google Performance Max and not quite getting what you want from it, or you want to start using it, we'd be more than happy to help. So have a look at that article because it's probably a good starting point from that basis. And that's really our 5-tier cake, as we've called it. And fundamentally, when you're looking at this, it's a fantastic opportunity now to start layering on more information. Start with your consent, get that up, utilize Google Consent Mode, capture better data and more detailed data through data layers. Use it to power your reporting as best you can by pulling that data out through things like BigQuery or Python or R. Back up your data if you need to, but also feed it into your Looker Studio reports or any other reporting tool you might be using. And then top of that tier, and again, this is just 5 things. There are obviously more, but these are the things we'd suggest starting with. Think about marketing with predictive audiences. Get ahead of the curve. Google will love you for it, without a doubt. So I hope that was interesting, hope that was useful. For any of you that have got Google Analytics 4 set up, you're seeing the data come in and now you're thinking, okay, so what? What can I do with it now? Those 5 things should be a good starting point. And if you have any questions or if you'd like any further information, we'd of course be delighted to help. So please do get in contact with us if you have any questions about how to take your GA4 beyond what you've currently got and to make the most of it. So please do contact us on our website or email us at inquiries@equimedia.co.uk or simply pick up the phone. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great day and I hope to hear from you soon.